Have you ever felt like a boat lost at sea, without a rudder, without direction? Have you ever felt alive but without understanding why? That restlessness pulsing inside you isn't a flaw, it's a calling, an echo from ancient times when the purpose of life was as clear as the sun. Imagine the Egypt of Thoth, the scribe of the gods. Not the Egypt of pharaohs you see in books, but the Egypt of mysteries, where initiates learn the secrets that shape reality. Imagine alchemists seeking not material gold, but the transmutation of the soul. Imagine sages like Plato revealing that life isn't a coincidence, but part of a grand cosmic design. For them, the purpose was simple and magnificent, to awaken the divine spark that lives inside you. Not to chase empty success, but to manifest the universal laws that govern everything, from the movement of stars to the beating of your heart. But how do you do that? How do you find that purpose in the middle of so much confusion? The answer has been hidden for millennia. It lives in the 7 Hermetic Laws, sacred laws that weren't made to just be studied, but to be lived. They are the map that reveals who you truly are and where your soul has always wanted to go. Without knowing these laws, life becomes a game of luck and suffering. But when you understand them, everything changes. You awaken. And now, finally, it's your turn. Know thyself, and you shall know the universe and the gods. True wisdom doesn't give itself to those who just want to memorize concepts, nor to those who collect sound bites to seem spiritual. Wisdom reveals itself to those willing to transform. But how can we access this ancient wisdom, this map to purpose that feels so far from our daily reality? Is there a key? A password? Yes, there is, but it's not a magic formula or a whispered secret in dark corridors. The key lies in one of the most enigmatic and profound phrases attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a phrase that echoes like a silent mantra. The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. Think about that for a moment. The lips of wisdom, closed, shut. Not because wisdom is stingy or wants to hide, but because it only reveals itself to those who are truly ready to listen. And what does it mean to have the ears of understanding? It's not just about intellectual capacity, about collecting information or memorizing principles. How many times have we read inspiring books, watched motivational talks, agreed with deep ideas, but nothing really changes in our lives? That happens because true understanding isn't born just in the rational mind, but in the open heart, in the sincere willingness to go beyond theory and dive into practice. The ears of understanding belong to the one who doesn't just seek to know, but to be. They belong to the one who is willing to question their own beliefs, to confront their shadows, to experience the universal laws in their own skin. The 7 Hermetic Laws are not a set of dogmas to be blindly accepted. They are, as we said, maps. But a map is only useful if you decide to follow the path it points to. They are tools, but a tool only works if you pick it up and use it. Hermetic wisdom doesn't give itself to the curious or to collectors of esoteric knowledge. It reveals itself gradually to those who demonstrate, through their actions and intentions, a genuine desire for transformation. It's like trying to learn how to swim just by reading manuals. You might understand all the physics of flotation, the biomechanics of strokes, but you'll only truly learn to swim when you jump into the water, feel the resistance, maybe swallow a bit of water, and persist until the movement becomes natural. In the same way, the Hermetic Laws require practice. They require you to observe the world around you and within you with new eyes. They require you to try applying the principle of mentalism in your thoughts, correspondence in your relationships, vibration in your emotions. It's a path of self-knowledge and constant self-observation. The voice of wisdom may seem sealed, silent, but in truth it's always whispering, waiting for us to tune our inner frequency, to open not just our physical ears, but the ears of the soul. Only those who sincerely wish to hear, and crucially, to act, can decipher the secrets of the universe and, as a result, find the unique melody of their own purpose. Understanding purpose. The universe is mental. Now that we understand that wisdom requires active listening and a willingness to practice, Let's dive into the first and perhaps most fundamental of the 7 Hermetic Laws, the principle of mentalism. The law states directly and powerfully, all is mind. The universe is mental. What does that mean in practice for you and your search for purpose? Imagine the universe not as a vast collection of matter floating in a void by chance, but as a gigantic thought, an infinite and living cosmic mind. Everything that exists, from the tiniest subatomic particle to the largest galaxy, would have first originated in this mental plane, this universal consciousness. It might sound abstract at first, but think about how we create things in our own world. Let's take the example of the philosopher Plato, who, inspired by Egyptian wisdom, reminded us of something simple. No one builds a chair without thinking about it first. The carpenter visualizes the chair, plans its details, imagines its shape and function. The idea of the chair comes before the physical chair. It would be absurd to imagine that the wood came together on its own, randomly, and formed a perfect chair, right? It's like throwing an old computer down the stairs and expecting it to magically become a brand new high-end model when it hits the bottom. Ridiculous, right? Yet, we often look at the incredible complexity of the universe, the mathematical order of planetary orbits, the intricate biology of life, and accept the idea that it all came from pure chance. The principle of mentalism invites us to question that view. It suggests that just as the chair is born in the mind of the carpenter, the entire universe, with all its order and complexity, was born in the mind of the All, the divine mind. And here's the crucial connection to your purpose. If the macrocosmic universe was born from a divine thought, then your personal universe, your life, is also born in your own mental plane. You are a creator, a co-creator with the All. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your mental visualizations are not just harmless inner activities. They are the seeds of your future reality. What you nurture in your mind, what you focus your mental energy on, tends to manifest in your life, just like the idea of the chair manifests in the wood. If the first law, mentalism, reveals that the universe and our own lives begin in the realm of the mind, the second law, correspondence, gives us a magical mirror to understand how this mental creation reflects in our concrete reality. The principle is expressed in the famous Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, as below, so above. This doesn't mean things are identical across different planes of existence, but rather that there is a similarity, an analogy, a repeating pattern. Imagine the universe as a huge house with many floors. There's the physical floor, which we can touch and see. The emotional floor, where we feel joy, sadness, anger. The mental floor, where we think and reason. And more subtle spiritual floors. The law of correspondence tells us that the same basic laws of architecture and function apply across all these floors. What happens in the basement, what's below, reflects what happens in the penthouse, what's above, and vice versa. They aren't the same thing, but there is a connection, a reflection. How does this apply to our search for purpose, connecting back to the mentalism we just explored? If your mind, the above of your inner world, is constantly generating thoughts of fear, scarcity, doubt, or resentment, what do you think is going to reflect in your outer world? The below of your circumstances. The law suggests that your external reality will tend to mirror those internal patterns. You might face financial difficulties, a reflection of a scarcity mindset, relationship issues, a reflection of resentment or fears, or even health problems, as Eastern medicine suggests, where negative emotions like hatred or selfishness can eventually create physical imbalances. On the other hand, if you cultivate in your mind the above thoughts of gratitude, trust, love, and purpose, your external reality, the below, will gradually begin to align with that internal vibration. Opportunities may appear, relationships may harmonize, and you might feel a greater sense of flow and well-being. It's not magic, it's correspondence. The outer world works like a giant mirror, faithfully reflecting the image we project from our inner universe. In the search for purpose, this law is essential. If you feel lost, look into the mirror of your life. What are your current circumstances reflecting about your deeper mental and emotional patterns? What is your body telling you about your inner state? What do your relationships reveal about how you relate to yourself? The law of correspondence invites us to stop blaming the external and start working on the internal. By harmonizing your inner universe, your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, with the idea of your purpose, remember mentalism, you begin to see that harmony miraculously reflected in the mirror of your outer world. Transforming the outer world becomes a natural consequence of transforming the inner universe. The invisible forces shaping your destiny. We've already understood that our mind creates our reality, mentalism, and that our external world reflects our internal world, correspondence. Now, let's explore a dynamic trio of Hermetic laws, vibration, polarity, and rhythm, that govern the constant flow of energy and consciousness in the universe, and as a result, deeply shape our journey in search of purpose. First, the law of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Think about everything around you. The chair you're sitting on, the table, the air you breathe, even your thoughts and emotions. Nothing is truly static. Everything is in constant motion, vibrating at different frequencies. Dense matter, like a rock, vibrates so slowly that it seems still. But light, energy, and thought vibrate at much higher frequencies. It's like the sound of a motorcycle that fades out of hearing. It didn't disappear, it just moved beyond the range we can perceive. The same goes for ultraviolet or infrared light. The universe, from the highest spirit to the densest matter, is a continuous spectrum of vibrations. How does this connect to purpose? Your consciousness, your thoughts, and especially your dominant emotions have a vibrational signature. Feelings like fear, anger, guilt, or apathy vibrate at low, dense frequencies. Feelings like love, gratitude, joy, and peace vibrate at high, subtle frequencies. The law of vibration, combined with correspondence, suggests that you attract into your life experiences and people that resonate with your dominant vibration. If you want to manifest a higher purpose, you need to consciously raise your inner vibration. How? One example is what Plato said about music. He warned that the music we listen to affects our vibrational state. Aggressive music can, even unconsciously, tune us into that vibration. Likewise, surrounding yourself with beauty, practicing gratitude, meditating, spending time in nature, cultivating positive thoughts, all of this helps raise your vibrational frequency, aligning you with the possibilities of your purpose. Next, we have the law of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its opposite. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Think of a thermometer. Hot and cold aren't fundamentally different things. They're just extremes of the same thing. Temperature. The same applies to light and darkness, courage and fear, love and hate. They're opposite ends of the same spectrum. The beauty of this law lies in the power of mental transmutation. If fear and courage are just different degrees on the same scale, then you can consciously choose to move up the thermometer from fear to courage. You can transform hate into love, sadness into joy, apathy into enthusiasm. It's not about denying the negative pole, but recognizing it as part of the same energy and choosing to vibrate on the positive pole. In the search for purpose, polarity is a powerful tool. How often does fear paralyze us? Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of not being good enough. The law of polarity teaches us that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it, to move the needle of our awareness to the opposite pole. By understanding that you have the power to transmute your internal states, you stop being a prisoner of the negative emotions that sabotage your path. Finally, the law of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The rhythm is the compensation. Life isn't a straight line. There are natural cycles in everything. Day and night, the seasons, inhaling and exhaling, moments of expansion and contraction. Our emotions, our energy, our enthusiasm also follow this rhythmic flow. There will be days when you feel inspired and full of energy to follow your purpose, and there will be days when you feel discouraged or lost. The pendulum of life swings. The secret, according to the Hermetists, isn't trying to stop the pendulum, but learning to rise above it. It's like the sun watching the tides rise and fall in the valleys, yet staying steady on its path. Understanding the law of rhythm helps us not get swept away by the inevitable highs and lows. When you're in a low phase, know that the tide will rise again. When you're in a high phase, ride the wave, but stay aware that the pullback will come. This brings balance and resilience. You learn to ride the waves of life without drowning in them, keeping your hand steady on the wheel toward your purpose, no matter the external or internal fluctuations. Cause and effect. You are the author of your story. We've explored how our mind creates mentalism, how the external reflects the internal correspondence, and how the energies of vibration, polarity, and rhythm are constantly dancing in our lives. Now, we arrive at a law that puts us directly in the driver's seat of our existence, the law of cause and effect. The principle is clear and relentless. Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. In simple terms, nothing happens by chance. There is no luck. There is no misfortune. Every event, every circumstance, every joy and every challenge in your life is an effect that had a prior cause, and every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take today is a cause that will inevitably produce an effect in the future. It's the universal law of sowing and reaping applied to every level of existence, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. We often live as if we're victims of circumstance, blaming external factors for our unhappiness or lack of purpose. We credit our successes to luck and our failures to bad luck or other people's ill will. The law of cause and effect invites us to drop that victim mindset and take 100% responsibility for our lives. It tells us that we are the authors of our own story, the conscious or unconscious sowers of our destiny. Remember what we talked about with mentalism. Your thoughts are creative. Now, combine that with cause and effect. Every persistent thought, every deep-rooted belief, every emotional pattern is a cause planting seeds in the fertile soil of time. If you plant seeds of doubt, you'll reap uncertainty. If you plant seeds of anger, you'll reap conflict. If you plant seeds of fear, you'll reap limitations. But, and here's the empowering truth of this law, if you plant seeds of purpose, of trust, of love, of service, you will inevitably harvest the matching fruits. Now, we've reached the seventh and final fundamental Hermetic law, the law of gender. And heads up, we're not just talking about biological or social gender as we commonly understand it today. The Hermetic principle of gender is much broader and deeper. It states, gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. This means that creation, on any level, physical, mental, or spiritual, involves the dynamic interaction between two complementary energies, masculine and feminine. Think of masculine energy as the active, projective, driving principle. It's the force that initiates, directs, penetrates. Its will, focus, assertion. Think of feminine energy as the receptive, nurturing, gestational principle. It's the force that holds, contains, develops. It's intuition, emotion, creative imagination. And it's important to emphasize, all of us, men and women, have both energies within us in different proportions and expressions. The law of gender tells us that nothing can be created without the harmonious union of these two principles. A seed, masculine, active principle, needs fertile soil, feminine, receptive principle, to sprout. An idea, masculine, needs imagination and emotion, feminine, to gain shape and strength. An action, a masculine, needs a purpose and feeling, feminine, to have meaning. How does this relate to the search for your purpose? In a crucial way, the structure we've been following gives us a warning. If you're not consciously using your masculine and feminine principles to generate your own authentic creations, you risk ending up just hatching cuckoo's eggs. What does that mean? It means you may end up nurturing and manifesting in your life ideas, beliefs, desires, and even purposes that aren't truly yours. They're thoughts you absorbed from the environment, the media, your family, society, the egg placed in your mental, emotional nest. You receive them, passive feminine energy, and feed them with your energy, misdirected masculine energy. But they didn't come from your genuine connection with your own essence, with the divine mind. Finding and living your true purpose requires the art of self-generation. That means first, using your feminine energy consciously, connecting with your intuition, with your inner wisdom to receive the inspiration, the seed of your authentic purpose that comes from your connection with the all. Remember mentalism. It's an act of sacred receptivity, of listening to the voice of your soul. Why, without the laws, you'll never find your purpose. We've walked together through the 7 Hermetic Laws. We saw that the universe is mental and that our mind is a creative center. We understood that the outer world reflects the inner world through the law of correspondence. We explored the constant dance of vibration, polarity, and rhythm. We took responsibility as the authors of our story through cause and effect, and we discovered the importance of authentically generating our reality through the law of gender. Now, the crucial question that echoes is, why is it so vital to understand and practice these laws in order to find your true purpose? Why can't we just follow our intuition or try different paths until something clicks? The answer is straightforward and maybe a little uncomfortable. Without the compass of the Hermetic Laws, you're sailing the ocean of life pretty much blind. Imagine trying to put together a complex puzzle without the picture on the box as a reference. You might fit a few pieces by luck or intuition, but the full picture, the understanding of how each piece connects to form the final image, will remain hidden. The Hermetic Laws are the box image of your existence. Without understanding mentalism, you'll keep being a puppet of your own unconscious thoughts and collective mental patterns, believing that reality is something fixed and external, not realizing that you are co-creating it every second. Your purpose will seem like something to be found out there, instead of something to be awakened and manifested from within. Ignoring correspondence, you'll spend your life fighting the mirrors, your external circumstances, other people, without realizing they're just reflecting your own unresolved internal patterns. You'll try to change the world without changing yourself, a doomed and frustrating effort. Your purpose will remain hidden behind the projections of your own shadow. Not knowing about vibration, you'll get stuck in low frequencies of fear, doubt, or resentment, magnetically attracting more of the same into your life without understanding why. You'll wonder why good things seem to happen to others, but not to you, without realizing your own internal tuning is blocking the higher vibrations of your purpose. Without mastering polarity, you'll be a slave to your negative emotions, letting fear choke courage, sadness smother joy, apathy cancel out action. You'll give up on your path at the first sign of difficulty, thinking you don't have the strength to transmute challenges into opportunities. Not understanding rhythm, you'll get dragged by life's ups and downs, feeling euphoric at the highs and desperate at the lows, without the stability and resilience needed to stay the course on the long journey that fulfilling your purpose requires. You'll abandon your projects and dreams every time the pendulum swings to the negative side. Ignoring cause and effect, you'll live like a victim, blaming luck, fate, or other people for your results, without taking ownership of the immense power you have to create your future through your present choices. You'll passively wait for your purpose to be revealed instead of actively planting it. And finally, without consciously applying the law of gender, you'll constantly risk living a purpose that's not truly yours, manifesting someone else's ideas and desires, hatching cuckoo's eggs, as we said before. Your creative energy will be spent nurturing what didn't come from your authentic connection with the source, leaving your true potential asleep. See it now? The 7 Hermetic Laws aren't just interesting philosophical concepts. They are the instruction manual of the universe and your own consciousness. Without them, your purpose stays like buried treasure with no map, like a sacred scroll you don't know how to unroll. We now understand the fundamental importance of the 7 Hermetic Laws for uncovering our purpose. We've seen how each one operates and why ignoring them keeps us lost. But, as warned in the section about the sealed voice, knowledge alone isn't enough. Remember Hermes Trismegistus' warning quoted earlier: beware of mental greed. Accumulating knowledge about the laws without applying it is like having a treasure map and never setting out on the expedition. It's like having a master key and letting it rust in your pocket. The true transformative power of the Hermetic Laws only reveals itself when we turn knowledge into daily practice, when they stop being abstract concepts and become the very texture of our lives. So, how do you start? How do you walk this path of practical application? There's no one-size-fits-all formula because the journey is personal, but a few steps are essential. Conscious self-observation. This is the starting point. Begin to observe your thoughts, emotions, and actions daily through the lens of the 7 laws. Ask yourself, what kinds of thoughts am I mostly nurturing? Mentalism. How do my current circumstances reflect my internal state? Correspondence. What frequency am I vibrating at most of the time? Vibration. Am I getting carried away by emotional extremes or seeking balance, polarity, and rhythm? Am I aware of the causes I'm planting with my choices, cause and effect? Am I acting from my authenticity or just reacting to outside influences, gender? Self-observation, without judgment but with curiosity, is the first step to identifying where you can start applying the laws more consciously. Start small, but be consistent. Don't try to change everything at once. Choose one law or aspect that resonates most with you right now and start practicing it intentionally in small everyday situations. For example, mentalism. Spend a few minutes a day visualizing your purpose or consciously replacing a recurring negative thought with one more aligned to what you want to create. Correspondence. If you notice a negative pattern repeating in your life, for example, conflicts at work, investigate what internal pattern, belief, fear might be getting reflected and work on it. Vibration. Introduce practices that raise your vibration. Listen to uplifting music, spend time in nature, practice gratitude, meditate, do something you love. Polarity. When you feel a strong negative emotion, fear, anger, recognize it and, instead of being dominated by it, consciously focus on the opposite pole. Courage, compassion. Rhythm. On days when your energy is low or you're feeling down, accept the flow without self-blame, but keep at least one small consistent action toward your purpose, even if it's tiny. Cause and effect. Before making an important decision, reflect on the potential consequences, effects, and choose the action, cause, that's most aligned with your values and purpose. Gender. Take moments to quiet external noise and listen to your intuition, feminine, before making important moves, masculine. Integration in thinking, feeling, and acting. True mastery comes when the laws stop being something you do and become something you are. This means integrating the principles at all levels of your being. It's not enough to think positively, mentalism, if your emotions, vibration, are full of fear. It's not enough to intellectually understand cause and effect if your actions, gender, are still impulsive and misaligned. Practice means aligning thoughts, feelings, and actions with the Hermetic principles. Patience and persistence. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. There will be moments of progress and moments that feel like setbacks. Remember, rhythm. What matters is to keep practicing, learn from mistakes, adjust your course, and keep going. Every small harmonious practice, every elevated thought you cultivate, every internal breakthrough, no matter how minor it seems, is a real step towards the revelation and manifestation of your true purpose. The path of applying the laws is, at its core, the path of spiritual awakening and purpose fulfillment. It's not a final destination, but a continuous journey of learning, growing, and aligning with the universal forces that govern existence. Knowing isn't enough. It's in action, in daily living, that wisdom blooms and purpose is revealed. Before you go, listen up. For those who feel the call to go even deeper, I've made available the book that was the foundation for all this knowledge, so you can study it, absorb it, and carry this wisdom with you for life. Oh, and if you want to support the channel more directly, help spread this message and make sure more people get access to content like this, there's a special link where you can contribute. Every bit of support is super welcome and makes a huge difference in this mission. See you on the other side.